Everyone, welcome to the first kind of episode of this series, if you will. Yes, yet another budgeting app. So I'm going to go down the journey of building another budgeting app via vibe coding, and kind of just wanted to talk about the inspiration, my kind of general overview of thesis, the tools, and I guess my goals, if you will. So I moved in with my girlfriend a couple of years ago, and I built this. I'm somebody who loves spreadsheets and kind of like this idea of just recording and collecting stuff. And so I built this spreadsheet that, I just log all the transaction, it adds it all up, and then each month we just kind of it kind of runs a carrying balance, and then she kind of at the end every month will send money, kind of settle up. Where it kind of she got confused. She's like, okay, well, I pay for most stuff, but what does she do when she pays for like? How does she do if she pays for something? What if she buys something for me? How does she count that as a payment? Like, there was kind of a lot of intricacies that it was not perfect for, and she kept getting confused. So I ended up just kind of carrying it for both of us, and so again, it gets the general job done, but there's probably a better way to get that done. So there was kind of this like idea in my back of my head and like surely there's a better way. And then two, I like simple budgeting apps. I feel like those aren't as common anymore. I don't want it all to auto update for me. I like doing it myself. I mean, that's really all there is to it. I think that I don't do a ton of transactions. I'm not a big shopper. A lot of my stuff is more subscription based, and I was, but the stuff I did purchase, I wanted to actually put in myself because I felt like I got more emotionally from watching myself type in. Ooh, I went out and had beer and tacos with my friends and blew through $100 in beer and tacos, like rather than just kind of seeing the transaction like log in and clear. It was like I had to type that out and I actually had to think about, my actions for lack of better words. And so as I've kind of discovered vibe coding and come up with ideas, and it was like, oh, budgeting app, it's like there's 100 million of those. And it was like, okay, well, what if I combine this like idea of running a household, or features that would be appreciative for people who are living together and want to keep track of certain things. Like what if we put something like that together? And so that was kind of my general thesis, if you will, and or not thesis, but that's kind of the general inspiration I have for building this thing out. My kind of overall thesis is that micro apps are kind of here to stay. Like, does the world need another budgeting app? Probably not. But if I can find 50 to 100 people who actually like and use it and appreciate it, it's like, okay, my costs are relatively small. It's, I have a work subscription, and if you allocate out those credits, like, could you find the exact cost? Probably. Um, and then to like, I pay $100 per year for an Apple license. Outside of that, there's not really a ton of ongoing costs. Like if I want to get an email address, website domain, like the world's my oyster. But for as little as 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 a month, like I could kind of get something there. If you have this app and it's charging a couple bucks a month, 100 users, like, hey, you're in the green relatively quickly. And then two, like, it's an app that I use, and I quite think, like, I'm in a good financial position. But I think if I saw how much leakage I had in subscriptions I forgot about or spending I forgot about, like, I think that I alone would kind of pay for, the value I get out of it. And so it's like, why not? If this works for me, 50 other people in a world of several billion find it useful, and the costs are relatively minimal. I find the experience enjoyable. Like, let's do this. And I think that that's going to continue to be an ongoing trend. Like, will vibe coding become the next Fortune 500? Maybe not. But like, I think this whole world of micro niche or micro kind of users and in small pop up, studios is going to be an ongoing theme. Like, I saw somebody who made, they were going to a conference and they just built themselves a kind of a conference, a way to organize their attendance, their meetings at the conference. And it was like, I could totally see more stuff like that because, again, if I have this work subscription, I pay, $200 a month. And depending on the seriousness of apps I'm trying to accomplish, I can get something done for a couple bucks, right? Like, or if I wanted to build some very serious intensive projects, I could spend a lot more. And so I just think that, you know, this is going to be an ongoing trend. And I think that, not everything needs to be kind of a AAA studio anymore. Um, like it's totally okay to build something small that fits and works for everyone, or and only a handful of people enjoy or a handful of people use. So the tools I'm going to be using, like I said, are going to be a work. I have one of the more premium subscriptions for an Apple specific language. I honestly, shows how much of a coder I am. I don't even remember. I think it's Swift. And you have to pay for one of their more premium subscriptions. I have a different project I'm working on, and I'll talk about in the future. But like that one was going to be much easier because you could connect with Apple. But again, subscription started $50 for my budgeting app. I could have used one of the cheaper ones, but I paid $200 a month. Um, and the only other tool I have is my iPhone in the testing that I'm going to use for it, right? Like I don't really plan on doing too much marketing. Like I said, I think if I spend $200 and pay $100 a year for the license, and it's cheaper than buying it. If you amortize the cost of the work and then look at the $100 a year I pay for the license, I think that that's really all I need. And if nobody else uses it, well, maybe I'm a shitty developer. But I think from a testing perspective, that's the biggest thing I would tell anyone is you have an idea in your head, but you have it at surface level. You don't actually think about, you know, or maybe you do think about it, but like certain features are in your head, but you don't communicate it to the AI, right? And I have a couple friends who are coders, and they've always said like, "Hey, I'd love to build this or work on this project, but like, what do you mean? Like, we need to really kind of flesh out your ideas." And this was really something that kind of helped me flesh out stuff. Is like, oh, I thought I wanted to, like I have these ideas in my head. I forgot to kind of describe to the app, hey, these apps or these, the transactions you log should be editable. You should be able to add notes. Like there are certain things in my head that I didn't think I had to describe, or I kind of assumed would work a certain way. And, you know, reality is it isn't. So I think if your plan is to put together these things, never touch them and ship them out and sell them, probably not going to work, and you're going to end up with a lot of disputes. I think that anything you build should be something you play or use, because I think that there's a lot that goes into it. Just because we don't know, we don't speak the language, we don't think about things until we use them. So luckily for me, I'm going to use the budgeting app, and yeah. So I think that again, that's going to be the biggest thing. I do plan on monetizing it, like I said. Or maybe I'll change it from monetization to goals. But like, I think my goal would be to just reach, somewhere between 50 and 100 monthly active users. Like, I think that that would be a job well done for me. I think that would be cool. Like I said, this is not going to be the next big great thing, but for a handful of people who live with a spouse, enjoy manually logging transactions, this is going to be for them. I want to keep it affordable. I think monetizing will be kind of fun in a way. Like the idea of like, how do I make money? Do I just do a flat subscription? What's the right price? Like so on and so forth. There's kind of a lot to really think about, and I kind of enjoy thinking about that different stuff. Like between ads, subscription, maybe I could even put an affiliate, program in there. Like there's just so many different ways to play with it. So kind of TBD. And next steps. The next steps I haven't, let's call it end of beta. I need to play with the household feature that I talked about earlier. I can't remember if I described this, but like, the first version of the app was all local. Like, could I have maybe figured that out if I sat down and learned coding? Probably. But this new kind of updated one has this household feature where it's, transactions can kind of log on the cloud and share and update this, kind of ongoing ledger. And I've got to flesh that out and make sure that that actually works, because that's kind of the whole, I feel like, premium or what really sets the app apart. So then from once I've got that kind of fleshed out, I think the next steps are publishing it and playing with the monetization, and just kind of seeing what it's like to run an app, and kind of the data that I get, and calculating things to share with you guys, and the ongoing journey of building this channel. So yeah, that's kind of it, and I've talked enough. I'll talk to you guys in the next episode.